Evening, everybody. Welcome to Monday night here at the temple. What? Huh? I can't. Okay. Anyway, can you hear me?
I've got my volume down.
Okay. Oh, hey. Okay. Sorry, guys. I thought I was talking to myself for a second there. My laptop crashed like right when we were setting up the chat and everything, like 5 minutes ago, and it's like, fix it. Neil, what's happening, dude? David, how are you? George? All right. Cool. Y'all can hear me. Great. Awesome. Cool. Forsaken one. Well, we're going to get into what's up, all right? And we're going to get into that here very shortly. Mr. McBee, how are you this evening? Valerian, what's up, man? And Miss Julie Smith in the house. Hello, how are you? You will be happy to know that the dearly beloved wife unit is just off camera here, and you can chat and converse and conversate with her in whatever method you feel, whatever floats your boat, basically. Up, Chuck, how are you? Simon, Sick Bay, hey, what's happening, dude? Yeah, I kind of figured you'd get a kick out of that, Julie. Sick bastard, what's up in the house, my man? How are you doing? So anyway, by the way, somebody earlier today made mention that I look kind of Backstreet Boys with my hair like this.
Did you tell them bye, bye, bye?
No. But yeah, my my hair kind of it's doing its own thing right now, and no, we're not going to do the whole bye 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 thing, but I got to do something about it soon because this ain't working. But anyways, hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Hope everybody got a full belly. Hang on one second. Let me move my camera just a little bit here. That way the glare from those lights isn't blinding everybody. There, that's better. So anyway, hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. We had a good time, mostly. We'll get to that here in a second. But we went and had Thanksgiving with some friends of ours up in Spring Hill, and cool, laid back, just the six of us. Us, them, Petty Officer Squid Boy, and my mom. But anyway, my mom accidentally had a misstep, and she tripped over a pet gate. And when she tripped, she went pretty much face first into the bathroom door frame, and it clocked her a good one. I mean, right above her left eyebrow is where she hit the edge of the door frame, and it scared the shit out of us. I yeah, I seen it. I seen it happening. It's one of those things where you see stuff in slow motion. The clinical term for it's called tachyphysia, I believe. But I could see this unfolding, and I was freaking out because I was kind of powerless to stop her. But it popped her a good one. I mean, she looked like the third option for the Tyson Jake Paul fight from last weekend. But I told Mom, I'm like, hey, if anybody says anything to you, just tell them, say, hey, you already see the other guy, because I mean, she's got the whole left side of her face blew up like a balloon. Her left eye was swelled shut. It moved across her face, and it had her right eye mostly swelled shut. But the swelling's going down. She's on the uptick here, but she had a rough one. It was scary, real scary. But Mom, if you're watching this right now, I hope you're feeling better. I know you can't comment, but just know that me and Amanda, and we got a whole chat room full of weirdos here and everything that are hoping you feel a lot better, a lot more quickly. So that was the kicking off point there, and things escalated from there. And Julie, I appreciate what you said about healing vibes to my mom. Really, I do. Mom has been very friendly with an ice pack here the past few days, just trying to maintain the swelling and everything, and get things under control. With my mom, with my mom at the age and stage she's at life right now, she's on blood pressure medication, she's on blood thinners, so she bruises very easily. This is something that's going to take her a little while to get past. But so anyway, that was Thanksgiving. That was Thanksgiving Day. And then the day after Thanksgiving was basically a recovery day because, everybody's walking around in slow-mo because we had way too much turkey and other stuff. And yeah. Well, let's get real here, okay? I did typical, Thanksgiving me, and I ate like a coked out trash panda is what I did. And, for the rest of the night and a big part of the next day, I was walking around feeling freaking miserable. And once we got past that, that's when I had to kind of knuckle down and get some stuff done out of here in the garage. Now, where that comes into play is this channel is called Joe the Mountain Jedi. And we fix stuff. That's what we do. Normally, we fix stuff like this busted asshole Honda that you see behind me here, or some of the other junk that you see me working on here or there at random times. This time was a little bit different. We had to fix the wife unit's land speeder. Yeah, that's right. The mommy mobile. The mommy mobile was wounded, so we had to do some stuff, and that opened Pandora's box. And I've never met anybody named Pandora personally, but Pandora's got a really scary, sketchy looking box. We'll just leave it at that. But anyways, what started out as, now granted, let me back up a couple steps here. I knew that I was going to have a lot of work ahead of me on this thing, but it wasn't anything that I had never done before. A lot of you guys may know, most of y'all probably don't. Before I went back to doing motorcycle stuff as a normal day gig, I did automotive for a paycheck for like 15, 16 years. I managed a Napa Auto Care in Eastern Oklahoma for 8 of those years. Been around the block a time or two. But anyway, the air conditioner on the mommy mobile, it was slowly dying, and it was pretty much used up and dead by the time we had to bug out because of Hurricane Milton when he went on his stapler rampage. And that's something that bothered me. And this is something I wish I'd have been able to deal with beforehand, but unfortunately time just didn't allow for it, because whenever I bought the parts for this stuff, they showed up literally 2 days before the hurricane did. So there was no way that I could even attempt that then, because, that was transportation that they needed. And also we needed to have accessible for my mom. So we kind of roughed it out. And,
I
the wife, the wife unit and my mom, they had to just do the whole 260 mode AC on the way to eventually Orlando, where we ended up riding out the hurricane. But we, hey, all ring, how you doing, bud? But anyway, so I had to rebuild the air conditioner in this thing because the compressor pretty much ate itself alive. Y'all, you guys that have ever had AC croak in your car, you know what I'm talking about. It makes the ungodly, unholy rattling, buzzing noise. Sounds kind of like a mix between a chainsaw and what you could imagine if you ran over a fire hydrant with a farm combine. Yeah, it's kind of that noise.
Compressor cannibalism?
Auto cannibalism, whenever the compressor eats itself. But so anyways, Forsaken, yes, I totally agree with you there. But some people just don't learn. Some people like, I can fix them. Anyway, so we had to do the air conditioner, and on the mommy mobile, it's put together kind of weird to where you got to pull the front bumper, like the whole nose of the car. You got to pull that off to be able to get access to the condenser. That's the part out in front of the radiator for you guys that may not know. And whenever you have a compressor that fails the way this one did, what will happen is little chunks of metal.
Really do it? I stole your nose.
No, I can't. Come here.
No.
Lean over. I can't. But anyway, whenever you have a compressor that fails in the manner that this one did, what will happen is you'll get chunks and debris from the compressor failure, and they will migrate into that condenser because that's the hottest point of the system, and it basically sticks itself there. And you've got no guarantee that you can flush it out. So replacement's really a better option, or else you run the risk of killing another compressor from recontamination. So we had to do that. Had to put a condenser in it, had to put a compressor in it. We had to put an expansion valve in it. And this is all typical normal stuff. I've done it literally thousands of times on different models. But while I was doing that, I also had to put a exhaust manifold, a turbocharger, a catalytic converter, oxygen sensors, and what else did we put in that thing? Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, that was what, and I changed the oil in it and serviced the transmission just because it was due. And I figured, what the hell? If I'm in it for a penny, I'm in it for a pound, and we'll just make a weekend out of it, and we'll get all this stuff knocked out. Right? Not entirely wrong. But this is where I got a slap in the face reminder why I do not miss doing automotive as a day gig. Number one, it's a small car. I'm a big guy. This is already a recipe for disaster if you see where I'm going with this. Also, out here in the temple, I got a jack. I ain't got a lift like I do with the bikes I can put the car up on. So, yeah. Imagine beached whale at the beach, and he's rolling around in the floor and saying a lot of unsavory words and phrases and throwing a lot of shit. Yeah, that was me. And then as I peeled the layers off, so to speak, by taking this thing apart.
You call my car an onion.
Well, it's a small onion. It's like an onionette. Yeah. I mean, it's a little car. So, hey, John, how you doing, buddy? But anyway, the more that I pulled off of this thing, the more shit I came across that just made me go, what in the hell were they thinking? Because I don't have a way of putting the picture or the video up here in the live stream because I'm not smarticles like that. Other people may be looking at, oh, you can? Okay.
I will teach
she
you.
Can.
I will teach you.
She's going to learn me. That's what she says.
I will teach you.
Anyways, for you guys that are morbidly curious, or you just want to see, how badly I felt like throwing something out in the middle of the road, go over and check it out on Patreon. I'll throw that stuff up there on the Patreon site tonight after we get wrapped up with the live stream, and you guys can check out all the gory details. But I found parts on this car that were made out of plastic that nobody in their right mind, I'm talking anybody that's got enough IQ to pick their nose, should have ever considered making out of plastic. The oil line that takes the used oil, if you will, from the turbocharger back to the motor, the drain line, plastic. And I'm not talking just any kind of plastic. I'm talking, it looked like plastic wire loom type of plastic. It looked like pool hose is what it looked like. And I mean, I flexed it and squeezed it, and I mean, it just shattered like glass. But, Shubsy, hey, brother, this thing is paid off, all right? I will run this bitch until it disintegrates, and then I'll plug it into a wall socket and shock its ass back to life, and we'll get another 50,000 miles out of it. The car.
Okay.
She got worried for a minute there.
This is why I have life insurance.
Yeah. Shubsy's like, jack the ashtray up and drive a new car under it. But, yes, Julie, it is like Shrek. And actually, the name of this car is the Turb. And not the turd, not T-U-R-D, T-U-R-B. And there's a story here. When we bought this thing, we bought this car from Hertz Rental car, and it was part of the Hertz rental fleet. And usually, whenever they get about 30,000 miles, that's when Hertz start rotating their vehicles out of their fleet. So when we bought this, it had 32,000 on it. It's a 2016 model Chevy Sonic hatchback. It's the LTZ. Well, it's the turbo. It's got the little, 1.4 liter with turbocharger on it. Good little motor. It's got some ass in it for what it is. But I find it ironic that the motor in my bike, in the roadie, the motor in my bike is bigger than the motor in your car. And
that's just she's flexing. You're flexing.
I'm not flexing. She's extremely bitter about that. She could have gone a long time without knowing that, but now she knows. But one thing that we noticed, since it was a rental, it had some nicks and dings on it. Nothing huge, but it is what it is. The little badge on the tailgate on the back of it that's supposed to say turbo, well, the O was broke off, so it just says turb, and it just kind of stuck. So that's our little white turb. Keith, if I missed you earlier, how you doing, brother? Glad to see you again. Ooh, Shepsy, what kind of car are you driving that needs cam chains? Is it a Ford or a Hyundai? Okay, it's not turbo anymore. Well, see, here's the thing. I got the turbo sitting over here in the corner of the floor, and it is just the cutest little damn thing that you ever did see. Hey, let me grab this thing and I'll show you. Let me grab a shop towel. I need that. Okay, show and tell time here, kids. Big, ain't it? This is the exhaust manifold and turbocharger off of the Mommy Mobile. And it's just the cutest little thing. Made by Garrett, the whole 9 yards. But it's just adorable because of how tiny it is. I don't know how well this is going to show on the camera here, but you see the little spinny boy inside there? If I can get my flashlight where y'all can see. Yeah, that itty bitty little guy. That thing is about as big around as a 50-cent piece. And what that means in layman's terms is it's really damn small. The wastegate on this thing, you could cover that hole with a nickel. And for a brief fleeting moment, I had thought about, whenever I was planning on doing this, I had thought about hanging on to this thing. And one of these days, maybe if, the mood strikes me just right, half breeding it onto a roadie or something like that, just for shits and giggles, just basically because I can. And I swiftly talked myself out of that. But this thing, let's go through the autopsy list here. It's kind of hard to, it's going to be hard to see here on the video camera, but when you buy these, typically you buy them as a whole assembly with the exhaust manifold, the turbo, the whole nine. That's what I did on this because it was more cost effective. But that right there, that's the start of a crack. It would eventually crack through. And then the impeller in the compressor side of this thing, it still spins, but it don't spin happy. It's rough, it's chunky, it's draggy, and whenever you get draggy on a turbo, draggy turns into laggy, and laggy does not a happy turbo make. And then to top it all off, I know this is going to be real hard for y'all to see, but how can I do this? Baby, come here. I need to borrow your finger.
No.
Yes.
No.
I need you to point.
The last time you said that.
It washed. Anyway, now I'm killing it. No, actually, I did that to see if you do it. She totally fell for it.
Sure.
But anyway, if you look right here, you can see a nice nifty little crack in the bottom of that wastegate seat. So we got a crack in the housing, and it actually goes both ways. The big part of it's down here at the bottom. Damn it. The big part of it's down here at the bottom, but you can see the rest of it on the other side traveling up to where the hole in the housing is for the actual wastegate actuator rod itself is. So basically, in a nutshell, this thing's just scrap metal. Yep. It bounces really good.
For a beached whale.
Well, but anyway, so here you can already see how my weekend was not just shot. It was bludgeoned, stabbed, dragged, eviscerated, drawn, quartered, flayed. Yeah, my weekend got shot to shit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The reason that I did all this stuff and the reason that I put myself through all this crap is because two reasons. Number one, I've got very few people that I trust to work on something that I'm going to put my family or my. Now, if it's just me driving, hey, I've driven some sketchy shit and I'm riding some sketchy shit right now because, that's just what it is. But there's very few people in this world that I trust to work on a vehicle that my family is going to be driving and operating. And the very few of them that are, they ain't nowhere near me. All-ring that is a nice thought, but let's be real here. This little popcorn fart of a motor, it probably doesn't get that thing spooled up enough to ever do any damage, even if it did have some kind of catastrophic failure. At worst, it may blow some shit into the intake and it may cost a motor. But it would probably just be really lame doing that. It'd probably be like, and it would quit. No drama, no trauma, nothing. Very anticlimactic. But anyway, another reason why I decided to take all this on is because y'all know me, I'm a cheap ass. What I've got here laying in the floor that's a pile of scrap metal right now is the end result of roughly a $650 to $700 investment in parts for AC compressor, condenser, a hose, the dryer assembly, the expansion valve, some Freon, new catalytic converter, a couple of oxygen sensors, some transmission fluid, motor oil, the turbocharger, with the manifold and all that, catalytic converter, and the water fittings and the oil line fitting that I had to replace. Now, if I'd have took this thing to a shop and paid somebody to, do all that, that would easily have been a bill equal to, if not over, what this car is worth. Now, it's a 2016 model Chevy Sonic. It's a hatchback. When we bought it, it had 32,000 miles on it. It's got 179,000 miles on it now. So, yeah, it don't sit still.
Ever.
At all. Ever. Huh. We didn't drive this damn much when we had kids in high school and they were doing extracurricular band shit. But anyway, it needed to be done. We jumped in, we did it. And along the way, I had a bit of a revelation. The automotive industry no longer gives a damn about anybody maintaining a vehicle because they build this stuff. Not only do they build it with a disposable mindset, they build it as a subassembly. For example, like the AC condenser. If you have to replace the AC condenser, okay, cool, fine. Peel the whole nose off the car. Whenever you replace the condenser because it got a hole poked in it from a rocket bounced up from the highway, guess what? You got to replace the dryer assembly as well. And technically, according to the service manual on this thing, even though nobody ever does it, technically on this particular model, whenever you replace the condenser, you are supposed to replace all of the rubber hoses and also the expansion valve and the evaporator core up underneath the dash. Now, the evaporator core is not leaking in this car, and it damn sure better not be leaking in this car after this weekend, or else I'll fix it with a 5-gallon bucket of diesel fuel and a road flare. But allegedly, that's allegedly what I might consider doing, but I would never do that. Babe, you paid the insurance, right?
No, you did.
Okay. Anyways, Adam, I kind of agree with you on both sides of the spectrum there, because, like I said, let's call it 180,000 into this thing right now. This thing still regularly gets over 30 mile a gallon. It has, the only time that it's technically left us stranded in the time that we've had it is we had a battery that went and it died. And on this car, whenever the battery is at the end of its life, you'll go out to it one day. You may have driven it 10 minutes before. It just won't crank over. And that's it. You know, it's time for a battery. The heat down here in Florida is hard on. But yes, I agree with you. Evaporator cores, heater cores, man, those jobs sucked. And I dreaded having those jobs come into the shop. Unless they were an 88 to 98 model body style Chevy pickup. And then it was just too damn easy to do a heater core on one of those things. 15 minutes in and out, boom, you're done and go. I miss those. Don't miss working on cars, but, you know, I miss the easy shit like that. But
Sarah installed an AC compressor?
I'm sorry, I've not been doing a very good job of reading comments here. Sorry, guys. Oh yeah, Tara, I totally agree with you with where Ford puts the AC compressor on the trucks. It is stupid. Shelby, you're in the chat. You can relate, you know, because we're fixing to have to we're fixing to have to jump on that bandwagon with your Crown Vic, dude. Hey Tommy, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you in. Mr. G, how are you, sir? Forgive me, y'all. I'm not trying to be rude here, but fat kid got to eat. So I got some cold ass Dominoes here.
Dan coming in from Michigan. Dan, can you please retrieve your weather from my front yard?
You have my full permission to ignore the hell out of her. It's 52 degrees outside right now. Big deal. She's over here. She's got 17 different layers on. She's huddled in front of a space heater out here in the garage, and she's still shaking like a nervous chihuahua that's, you know, been a 30-day resident at some kind of a drug rehab facility. Yeah, for all you guys up north, I'm sorry. It's cold. It sucks. This is what you call the blah time of year. Yeah. Yeah, William, I actually just the other day we had a bike come in that actually it was that CBX that some of you guys may have saw pictures of over on the Patreon site. But we had this CBX come in, and the carburetors have been rebuilt by a CBX, you know, specialist shop somewhere out on the left coast. So what's it in for? Guess what? I'm pulling carburetors off of it. Go figure. But whenever I pulled the air filter out of this thing, I just happened to look down in the air box, and there was an 8mm socket in the bottom of the air box. So, you know, I got a freebie out of that. Tara, I agree with you. That whenever I absolutely cannot stand a thief. I mean, that's the one thing in the world that will, well, next to one thing in the world will make my blood boil quicker than anything. And let's just say and I know how to use a shovel. But so anyway, sorry, kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent there. But anyway, the long and the short of it is, on her car, I have had this water neck. It's a GM calls it a water outlet, and you would think it's a thermostat housing. It's not, but it looks pretty much the same. But again, plastic makes it possible. No, it don't. Luckily, the times that thing has failed, both times was when I was driving it, and it didn't leave her, on the side of the road or anything like that. I had to get my ass towed to work one day, and for you guys that may be familiar with the greater Tampa Bay area, I live on the St. Petersburg side of the Howard Franklin Bridge. So I'm driving across the bay back and forth every day, twice a day. And that damn thing checked out in the middle of the bridge, and I had to have a tow truck come pick me up because I was just hanging out there with the seagulls for an hour. Yeah.
Better than a pelican diving into your windshield.
Better than a pelican lining me up for to dive bomb me with something else. Have you seen how much those things can poop?
Actually, yes. About 2 weeks ago on McGandy.
It's quite horrific. I mean, you'd think that some kid was being a little asshole and he threw a water balloon, and then all of a sudden it dawns on you what it was, and you're like, I mean, that's bad. But anyway, so I had this water outlet blow out on me twice. And I finally found where they had started making these things in aluminum. And I'm like, oh, happy day, problem solved. And it was cheaper than the plastic one too, if you can buy into that. So I put one of those things on there, fixed that problem. But there's a little fitting that goes in the top of that. That was still plastic. And of course, it's got to be some special funky quick release thing. None of the parts stores keep this thing. It's not something that's available anywhere outside of the dealer. And looking on GM Parts Direct, this thing was $40, and you ain't going to get that damn thing at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. So I ended up building this damn thing. I didn't build it out of plastic. On the outside, it looks like a normal 4-door shipbox mommy mobile midgie car. Underneath the hood, it is slowly turning into one blinged out billet aluminum, midgie car. But the thing is, I ain't got to worry about that sumbitch failing on her. And that helps me sleep at night better because I know that I'm not going to get a phone call, at least on account of that. I mean, the wheels may fall off of it, but I'm pretty sure I tightened them up. But yeah, sometimes it's hell being the family maintenance man. But that was literally how I spent all day Saturday and Sunday up until about 1 o'clock. Actually, about 1:30, this morning when I finally got done, and I went and I drove it around for about an hour just to make sure everything was copacetic with it, and that nothing stupid was going to happen. But man, there's so many times over the past 2 days of bashing my head into this or having to figure out how to reach around and fuck around with something in a little bitty dinky car. There's a lot of reminders here the past 2 days that makes me absolutely glad that I left the automotive world behind me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to work on our junk, and it's a lot of times it's a matter of necessity because, I mean, I'll be the first to admit, mechanics are expensive, and anymore there's so many little dinky fly-by-night automotive shops, here, there, everywhere that, you're literally playing Russian roulette unless you find a good, solid, independent mechanic that you can build a relationship with and establish some trust with. Because they're like, oh, you don't like what we did? Fine, go away. Next. And that's the mentality that a lot of these shops have, unfortunately.
And that was that one shop, mentality that I had to go to for just an oil change whenever I told them what kind of oil and service I wanted in my car and got told literally, just sit there and be quiet.
Yeah, that was a good thing that I wasn't there that day, or else I would have smoked somebody's fucking head. That was Evening, Sterling. How are you, sir? But yeah, that's something that actually happened to the wife unit. She went to actually, I don't give a damn if I put them on blast or not.
Whatever.
She went to the Jiffy Lube up on Park Boulevard here in St. Petersburg, going up towards the oh hell, what is it?
It was in P Park.
It was in Pinellas Park, but it's going up towards Lake Seminole. But anyway, it's that Jiffy Lube right there. If you want to Google them and write them a shitty review or trash talk them, be my guest. But I had words with the manager, and it didn't matter. I mean, he was some numbnuts 20-something-year-old kid. He's like, "Oh, sorry, whatever, dude," and that infuriates me, because if you're going to do a job, even if it's not something that you're truly passionate about, take responsibility for that job. Own your part of it, and do the job you're paid for. Make sure you're putting out your money's worth. And if you're going to just blow it off and say, "Hey, whatever, give me money," fuck you. I'm going to go down the road, man. But I'm damn sure going to let you know what I think about it before I do. And it's probably not ever going to change a damn thing, but I'll feel a hell of a lot better about it, because the thing is, right is right and wrong is wrong. And there is so much that kind of explains why we're here. That kind of explains how all this started with, Ramlin Park and, me doing stuff on YouTube and everything. There's some good info out there on the internet. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I see it all the time. But for every little good nugget of info out there, there is so much bullshit out there that is just totally off the mark, that leads people astray and creates so much problems for people. I got to the point where I just couldn't stand to sit by and see that stuff anymore. So instead of, typing out the same responses over and over and over again, on various Facebook groups that I'm in and things like that, or, old school web forums, back, remember when everybody had chat rooms and stuff? Yeah. I'm hearing the dial-up screech in my warm and fuzzy memories there. But, the thing is, sometimes you just got to draw a line and say, you know what, enough of this bullshit. If I can tell somebody how to, fix a $10 problem with a $2 part, that puts them that much ahead of the curve. And if it keeps them from going down the road and, getting the screws put to them by some guy down the road, blowing them up, saying that they need, $200, $300, $400, $500 worth of shit that they don't need, so much the better. Because if you arm yourself with education, it doesn't have to be a huge amount, just a basic thought process here. Don't be afraid to ask questions, do your own research. But if you apply a little bit of gray matter, a little bit of that thought process and everything, you'll save yourself so much aggravation and so much money in the long run. It's unreal. Sorry, fat kid rant. Hey, Joey, what's up, man? How you doing, bud? It's just kind of disheartening, because it seems to me like nobody gives a shit anymore. It's like nobody takes pride in their work. And I mean, it's not just limited to mechanics, technicians, anything like that. I mean, it's anywhere you go. Like you talk to a daycare worker, oh, I watch kids. You talk to a healthcare worker, oh, I watch patients. I mean, nobody cares anymore, man. You gotta take pride in what you do. If you're not passionate about what you do, if you're not proud to tell somebody, hey, this is what I do for a living and this is what I've done for X amount of years, you're in the wrong walk of life, man. You need to go find something that fits you, because not only are you putting off all kinds of negative energy from all the bad vibes that you're putting out to everybody, because it's very clear that you don't want to be there. Think of all the other people that you come into contact with that are affected by your mood and your outlook. I mean, it bogs down the whole damn system. Yeah, Iffy Lube. I like that, Sterling. I'm gonna have to remember that one. But Julie, you play with plants. You need to avoid my wife because
I already told her that weeds cower in fear whenever I walk by.
It's so much more than that. It really is. She is like the antithema of chlorophyll, okay? She can literally suck the life out of a potted plant by walking in the same room with it. If she touches it, it will be dead in 2 days. It just doesn't know it yet. She truly has the black thumb. Greg, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, Balrion, yeah, you're right too, man. It's all about the almighty dollar. The human quotient got pushed aside in the grand scheme of things many years ago, long before you and I came about, and it's run rampant and unchecked ever since then. And nobody has ever said, you know what? Wait a minute, maybe we just need to stop and do a better job. Sorry, I'm reading comments. Joey, if Domino's is your favorite, let me tell you about this beautiful little thing we had up in Tennessee, and I don't know if they have them down here because I haven't seen one, but it's called Old Chicago. Look them up.
No, we'd have to go back to Fort Smith and go to Papa's.
Yeah, Papa's was good. Papa's was damn good. But so anyway, that was how I spent my weekend. You know, I called Mom, talked to her a couple times a day just to, you know, check in on her, see how she was doing. I need to go over there and see how she's doing there. She's doing better. Nobody freak out, but you know, she looks like somebody gave her one hell of a shiner. I'll tell you that. But
no, she won.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. That door jam didn't seem to be cowering in fear. But yeah, like I said, mom got the shit end of the stick over Thanksgiving. I'll tell you that right now. But you know, I did not expect to have to invest 2 days of my life in all the crap that I had to fix on this car because of piss poor design and shitty cost cutting measures on the manufacturer's part. That was not pleasant. And whenever I start pulling oil lines off of a vehicle and they crumble into little bits and pieces because they're plastic, there's oil going through this, for God's sakes. Don't use plastic. I mean, duh. I mean, you know, the wife unit, you know, she took a bunch of pictures and video and stuff like that. I'll throw all that shit on the Patreon to where you guys can kind of catch up later on. Just check it out. Some of this is really, truly ridiculous with the way that this thing was put together. But so anyway, all right, got that off my chest. Ugh. Hell of a weekend. Hell of a way to spend a weekend. Oh, and by the way, it was in the 50s all weekend long, and I don't have oddly enough, I have a creeper at a motorcycle shop, but I don't have a creeper here at the temple.
You are the creeper.
10,000 comedians out of work, and here her ass is trying to be funny. But what? What?
I was just looking at all of the other parts that you tore off.
Yeah, I gotta take out the trash. Sorry, the temple is a bit of a shitbox right now, and it looks like a hurricane rolled through here because there's Amazon boxes and eBay boxes and cardboard galore. But what do you mean? Well, hell yeah, she's got a day job. You think I could afford to support her book smut habit if I was the only one working? I mean, she's got to pay for that shit on her own, Julie. I mean, some of these books she buys, I don't want to know what they cost because they're too frou-frou and fancy and too bougie looking on the outside. They got to be expensive as hell.
They're pretty.
Pretty? Okay. Some of these books are dressed up like the show pony mascot that's on the outside of a Vegas whorehouse, okay? That's the level of book smut we're talking about here. She's over here laughing because she knows I'm right. Actually, she's looking for a hole to crawl off into right now because she knows I'm right. But, yeah. Mr. Gossett, I'm 100% in line with you on that. There's very little that I farm out. And like, this is a conversation that me and Shelby have had many times over, and something that we have tried to go towards, there at the Ride Factory. The more stuff that we can keep under the roof, the simpler the process is, because it just takes all the moving parts out of the process. We are the QC department. We're not going to walk away from something until we're happy with it. And like, I do all the cylinder head work as far as, rebuilding, port and polish stuff, also just general rebuilds, valves, valve guides, valve seats, resurfacing, blah, 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 all that. I do all that stuff here at the shop now under the roof. We have a portion of the equipment that we need to be able to do our own cylinder work in-house. I'm still working on that, but we are moving forward with that. Again, the way I look at it is the less moving parts you've got in the process, the less chance for failure you have or for something to fall through the cracks. Absolutely, Keith. That's the thing. There is no quality control department. You've got 1, 2, 3 people tops that are involved in it from start to finish, and that's it. But and that's kind of the reason why I've got so much crap crammed into the garage here at the house, is because if I need to do something, I want to have the ability to do that. If I don't know how to do that, by God, I'm going to learn. I'm going to educate myself, or I'm going to, find somebody that does know how to do it. And I'm going to be like, hey, do you mind if I spend some time with you? That way I can learn how to be less dumb. Yeah, Tara, I saw that when you had to swap your battery out. Them are all kind of fun, ain't they? I don't know what the hell Harley was thinking whenever they designed that shit like that. Mr. Gossett, yeah, she tries to get me to read them, or she'll read stuff to me while I'm out here in the garage. And okay, is it just me now? Since you've got experience with it, is it just me, or does this sound like somebody doing a Popular Mechanics play-by-play version of something that they're watching on Pornhub? That's the way that it sounds to me whenever, she's playing an audiobook or something like that. Maybe it's just me. But uncorrupted. Oh, hell, who got corrupted?
I did.
Well,
27 years ago. You sinner.
Hey, nobody drug your ass into that damn chapel. You walked in of your own free will, woman. Remember that. But so anyway, that's how my weekend went. That's how Thanksgiving went. And that's why I don't have a normal video for you guys for Tool Talk, because instead of showing y'all how to use them, I was busy using them myself. But I will say this, the that hyper tough stuff that I was talking to you about the other day in the last couple of videos that I've been using, I got from Walmart for like uber cheap. That stuff is the real deal, man. I worked the shit out of the Impact and the Impact driver working on her car, and I was impressed with how well they performed. That little 3/8 Impact gun for $50, dude, that thing was ripping lug nuts off and breaking stuff that was seized up on the exhaust that I knew was going to break. But the thing is, it was ripping stuff apart that some of my air tools would kind of stutter and stumble with a little bit until it started moving. Laura, I absolutely agree with you. It is discouraging being surrounded by people that don't give a damn. And it kind of makes you stop every now and then and think, am I the only one that gives a shit about doing a good job? Am I the only one that cares that, what I'm doing is going to affect other people? Am I the only one that gives a damn whether or not, I'm giving somebody their money's worth for, the money that they're investing in my skills and my abilities? That's the stuff that goes through my head. I mean, Mr. Gossett, that's a huge understatement. Okay. Now, my wife is a bit of a pervert, and I'll admit I am too. But I got a really vivid imagination, and some of the shit that she reads, I'm like, wow, that person needs a 12-step program, or Jesus, or both.
Joey said the Stromboli garage basically blew up, and it's a disaster.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, he's in good company because right now my garage looks like hell. I got bike parts and car parts and cardboard boxes galore. Same here, Julie. Same. Actually, well, I wouldn't say this was my personal favorite, and it was definitely not one of my shining moments, but this was kind of a personal achievement of mine. I figured out a quick way to keep Jehovah's Witnesses from banging on your door at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Oh my God.
It's simple. You answer the door naked. They don't want to talk to you after that for some reason. I don't know. I mean, I was being friendly and everything, but they just, Well, Stu, good on you, brother.
Okay, please give context to that because, oh my God.
Well, no, there's no context to be had, I was, it was my senior year in high school. I'd laid out all night with my buddies running around and doing stuff that we probably shouldn't have been doing, but we went ahead and did it anyway. And I was less than sober. Let's put it that way. And, I hear this knock on the door, 7 o'clock, Sunday morning. I'm like, what the hell? And I didn't think about it. I go see who's at the door. I open the door. There's a couple of old ladies there, and they're well into their 70s. And I'm like, can I help you? And they didn't say a word to me. And one of them just hands me this pamphlet real quick, just like that. Knife hands. And I'm like, huh? Oh, and that's when I realized I didn't have a stitch of nothing on. So that's probably why the conversation was very one-sided and very brief. But the funny part is never had any more Jehovah's Witnesses banging on the door at 7 o'clock in the morning. Huh. Lala, I have cardboard boxes back here that have various motorcycles in them, okay? You just can't see them because they're expanded right now. Let's put it that way.
They're also suffering from Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, well, Shelby was suffering from Thanksgiving too. He got food poisoning. He was.
Oh no.
Yeah, he was miserable all weekend long. I just found that out today. But anyway. So yeah. after we get wrapped up here tonight, I got to push the broom for a little bit and pick up the parts and pieces, and I got to figure out where in the hell that weird smell's coming from because I have no idea at this point.
It's burnt toast.
Is it burnt toast?
It's burnt toast.
Okay. But anyway, I got to put together something for you guys where we can actually have an episode of Rambling Park Thursday night. Don't worry, I'll get something thrown together there where we can catch back up on Liberty Risk and start moving forward on that thing. But I had to do adult stuff for a couple days there, so that's why we don't have our normal video tonight, and that's why we're hanging out here with all you fine folks. And I don't regret it one damn bit. I could have done without some of the aggravation and frustration and some of the muttering and wandering around and shaking my head and going, what the hell were they thinking, from dealing with this car? But at least we got the majority of it behind us. I still got to put a radio in the thing because the stock radio finally tanked a while ago and the touchscreen doesn't work anymore. But we got a way around that.
No, but I've got a button for audiobooks on the commute.
Well, that's all you need to worry about then, isn't it?
Yeah.
See? But Shelby, that was probably me about 4:30, 4:45 yesterday afternoon, because that's pretty much where I was at in my head. Left the spiderweb there for 2 years. When we first moved back to Arkansas from Oklahoma, it was like the second or third day we were in this house that we'd moved into. Anyway, the wife unit had gone to the store for something, and the kids were still wee-sized, but they were with my folks, if I remember right. And anyway, I had come home from work, and I dozed off on the couch, and she was at the store, came back, and there's a big hairy-ass tarantula right there on the front steps. And she's banging on the window like hell, screaming at me. And you know how when you're real tired and you doze off and you sleep for like 10, 15 minutes and then you wake up, you feel stupid as shit for a little bit because you're not all there. You're just pretty much working on, lizard brain to make the body move at that point. So I'm like, what? And she sounded like one of the Thornberrys, for God's sakes. But she points down and I'm like, oh, big spider. Okay. So I grab a flip-flop, whack, pop that sucker. And then 10 billion little tiny hairy babies just scatter. And she just damn near walked on water getting back to her truck.
It was a holy moment.
Almost. I mean, her feet were about 6 inches off the ground all the way from the front door of the house back to her Jeep. But, it's the good times like that you remember, because we can look back on it finally and reflect. And I can laugh my ass off about it all over again.
You popped it with a flip-flop.
I did. It sounded like somebody popping a paper bag, man. But then all of a sudden, all the little minions just scattering about everywhere. That was fun. But I agree, Lala. Spiders are cute, okay? I mean, if you like spiders, you got to know Lucas the spider. Lucas is adorable. I mean, if I had a pet spider, I would name him Lucas. I would. And put that finger away, woman. Seriously. You don't know where that's been. Well, wait a minute. You probably know where that's been. But,
as do you.
Yeah.
No pet spiders.
What? We had pet ferrets for a while there, and I loved them. And the only problem is something I didn't know about ferrets. They got a straight line digestive system, and man, those things can poop a lot.
And apparently they have a left shoe fetish.
They do. They're kleptomaniacs. It's ingrained into their DNA. They will steal any damn thing that's not nailed down. But it was a hoot when we had them because, if we'd let them out of the cage and let them run around the house and, play with our basset hound, the basset that we had at the time, Artie, You know, it was hilarious because he'd chase them, they'd chase him back and forth up and down the hall, and it was like watching a big hairy inchworm in hyperdrive. You know, it's all jacked up on methamphetamine and Mountain Dew because they do this whole, you know, they squinch up in the middle and stretch out, and that's how they run. But they do it sideways. It's hilarious. It's like the ass end's trying to get past the front end. Chancala of death. I like that. I am gonna have to get me. I'm gonna have to get me a pair of flip flops with that embroidered on the side, and they're gonna have like that purple velvet, like a Crown Royal bag on the foot part of them. I mean, that's gonna be some pimp ass flip flops. But by God, I will have a set of those someday. That's how you know you are truly making it in this world. Yeah, Shefshy, you're bang on with that. Those things are mean when they're mad. But yeah, I miss the ferrets. The weasels were cool. You know, I do miss our sugar gliders, the little bug-eyed mutants that we had. We really got attached to those guys, and we had sugar gliders for a long time, and they are a colony animal. And unfortunately, as they grew older and they aged, you know, as they would die off, it put the rest of the colony into a depressive state, and we lost them one by one fairly quickly just because they were lonely. But yeah, the sugar gliders, they were a hoot, man. They were cute. You know, the wife unit would freak people out all the time because we were living in Clarksville when we first started getting into gliders. And, you know, she had one that was called they call him a bra baby, but his name was Chip. He was the first one that we rescued. And he would literally crawl inside of her shirt and just hang out there.
He didn't want to be away from his family.
But, well, he'd adopted you as his human. But, you know, she literally, we'd walk into the grocery store, Walmart, wherever in the hell, and she'd have this damn thing tucked inside of her shirt, and nobody would know. But if you want to see something that's funny, go Google search sugar glider crabbing and just listen to some of the videos. I mean, they sound like the most pissed off cicada you've ever imagined in your life whenever they get stressed out. But you know, we'd let them run around the house, and we'd let them run around the car whenever we were on a road trip or something. And
you had one perched on your head.
Yeah, we were driving to Galveston with my folks one time. One of the last road trips that I got to take with mom and dad before my dad passed. And I'll never forget this because we're driving down the road, and we're driving from Clarksville to Arkansas to meet up with mom and dad, and then we were going to drive to Galveston the next morning. And you know, we're driving through, it was probably about Memphis or so, something like that. And, you know, there's highway patrol and local PD everywhere. I mean, there's cops and blue lights rolling everywhere you turn going through Memphis. I mean, it must have been a busy night. But we're cruising through Memphis here on the highway on I-40, and I've got one literally sitting on top of my head, and I've got another one that's perched up on the steering wheel while I'm driving down I-40 at 75 miles an hour. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know, this is going to be a hell of a thing to explain to Stady if I get pulled over, because he's going to walk up to the car. I'm going to roll the window down, and he's going to be like, license, registration, please. What the fuck is that? Because they're kind of creepy looking. They got these big old beady eyes, and I mean, you don't ever see them blink. You know, it's just like they're there. But yeah, Shuggies need at least a pair because they bond together. You know, if you have more than that, you know, hey, cool. But you know, they don't do well on their own. They really don't. But yeah, I miss the sugar gliders. I miss the weasels. I had hermit crabs when I was a kid. Not real playful, not too cuddly. Yeah, they don't like hugs. They don't give good hugs.
No bra baby.
Well, not unless you know it's a certain kind of fetish or something. I mean, ugh. Yeah, Shelby, mom had birds whenever I was growing up. For a while, she was raising parakeets and cockatiels, and she was selling them to local pet shops. She was selling them at flea markets, stuff like that. But we did the same thing with rabbits. You know, we raised rabbits for for food stock and also for selling at the local farm trade stores and stuff like that. But and then we had chickens and cows and stuff like that. But the whole bougie pioneer woman lifestyle, it sounds so cool and it looks neat on paper. When you grow up with that on the daily, nah, not so much.
But that's what some people want.
Well, yeah, I'm not knocking it. It's just I had it and got tired of it, and I don't want to go back there to it. So yeah. Need a huntsman spider where you put it on a leash. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just out walking my pet face hugger.
Extreme Back Gaming had a trash panda.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, mom had an African gray for a long time whenever I was a kid. His name was JoJo, and he only had one toe on one foot, and that was it. We always called him Stumpy. But anyway, so just to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek, if you will, something we've been noticing is something we've been talking about, and something I've had a problem with over on Patreon. I don't like how things are kind of bottlenecked as far as the flow of information and the conversation. To be able to have a conversation, I've got to post something and then people have to reply on that. The problem is people can't post a question of their own on the Patreon site. And to me, that feels like that it severely limits the sharing of information and the flow of a conversation over there. So we're looking at some options on that, but I should have something for you guys solid here. I would say probably by the end of the year. Let's put it that way.
Happy Christmas.
Yeah, think of it as a really big awkward Christmas present with a very poorly tied bow and a whole lot of duct tape and patchwork on the wrapping paper on the box, because she can tell you I can build a motorcycle all day long, but the thing is, whenever it comes to wrapping stuff and making it look pretty, I look like somebody handed Helen Keller basically a how to paint the Mona Lisa paint by numbers kit and said, "Here, have at it." Oh, Shelby, that's awesome. That's almost like programming your Roomba to say, "Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker." That's great. Gma, see, that's the problem. You can't do that over on Patreon because everything over there is set up to where I have to put a post up and then people can reply to that and I can reply back and forth, but it keeps it funneled down into one spot. And we're working around that. Don't get me wrong, Patreon's a good resource, and we're putting together a pretty good sized library of all the little dirty sneaky tips and tricks over there, and also getting people to reference that for, okay, how do I do this, or what do I need to look for here, or where can I go to get this. But there's got to be an easier way of having these conversations, and that's what we're working on right now, and we're getting that put together. So yeah. Gma, you had a question for me? I'm sorry. I'm terrible at keeping up with comments. What was that? Yeah, see, that's the problem with Patreon. If you go on my Patreon, you can't make a post, you can't start a conversation, you can't ask a question. But if I post something, you can reply to me. And that's where the jam up happens, is because it's unfortunately it's dependent on me being there and me instigating something or making a post, and that slows down, the sharing of information. So we're looking at a couple of different options on that, but one way or the other, Christmas time, there's going to be a new playground, if you will. But I have no idea what you're talking about.
Check your comments.
Yeah. Keith, that's one thing that we've looked at, and we're kind of weighing the pros and cons on that. We just haven't figured out what's going to be the right fit for us right now. Because it is a time investment. It's a time investment on all of our parts. It's a time and gray matter investment on the part of the wife unit, because she's the techie IT nerd, and she's the one that knows how to set all this shit up. I don't. I'm just the one that has a lot of randomness floating around inside my head, and occasionally I verbalize that, and even rarer than that, sometimes some of it makes sense. The Facebook thing, that's something that we've kicked around, and we've thought about it. It's got its upsides, it's got its downsides. We haven't ruled anything out yet. Let's put it that way. I don't want to put too much out there with you guys right now, because right now we're in the process of picking through pros and cons of, Facebook page, web hosted forum, Reddit, subreddit, something like that. We got all these balls up in the air right now that we're juggling, and we're trying to pick it apart like that.
In the meantime, Gma had a Sportster oil cap question.
Oil cap versus oil pump. Okay, so what's it doing or not doing? I mean, is it barfing oil out or what? But just waiting on Gma to get back with me on that. Tara, I've not even looked at Subscribestar. I've heard the name, and that's it. It's not anything that I've looked at. I got a couple of gripes about Patreon, and one of them being that it's a very one-sided conversation, because it's basically, okay, we're going to sit here like good little boys and girls, and we're going to wait on somebody to say something, and then we can have a conversation about it. And okay, well, Gma, it most likely is something. Now, are you talking your iron head? If you are, then yeah, it's something. You're getting the sneeze. What you can do to kind of minimize that a little bit, it's the oil cap ain't going to help it. The way sporty oil pumps are put together, they're put together a lot different than what an oil pump in a big twin is, and usually a sporty won't sump. Now, an iron head has the potential to sump, and that's just because of loose tolerances in the oil pump itself. What you can do to kind of minimize it is, even if the bike's laid up and you're not going to ride it, like ride it, just once a week, if you think to, go out there, pop it off, let it run for a minute or so, just to keep everything happy. Viking Plumber, I agree with you 100%. And that's why we're kind of rolling stuff around right now instead of just saying, oh, hey, we'll go do that, because we're trying to keep all of our eggs mostly in one basket ish, kind of, sort of, just to make it a little bit easier to manage. Holy shit, we got Bueller 1203 in here. What's up, Jack? How you doing tonight, dude? Oh, and by the way, your Honda that drops 2 cylinders, it no longer drops 2 cylinders. You're welcome. Call me at the shop tomorrow and I'll bring you up to speed on that. But well, Gma, it may be time to open up the oil pump on that thing because it may have a little piece of trash in it, or it may be getting a little sloppy in there. Because typically ironheads, Sportsters in general, be it an ironhead or an Evo, usually about the only time that they'll sump is because of wear, severe wear in the oil pump, or just really, really loose tolerances in there that's allowing it to drain down out of the oil bag down into the bottom end of the motor. But yeah, if you got a Buell, if it's a little overfull, it'll definitely puke it off into the catch tank on there. Buells are weird, man. I mean, especially with the way they do their venting and their plumbing on the oil system and on the venting on them. But and that's Buell things. I mean, any of you Buell guys out there, you know how it is. But okay, new motor, 100 miles on it. I tell you what, Gma, you got my number at the shop. Give me a shout here in the next couple days. Let me do a little bit of digging on that, because I'm going to have to crack a book on that and see what and where. Because if I'm thinking if one of the oil pump gaskets got put in flipped, where it's got one of the ports partially uncovered, that's going to allow it to basically gravity feed the oil from the oil tank down into the bottom end. I need to dig into a book on that and look at a diagram and see if I'm telling you right. I don't want to lead you astray on that, but that would be one of the first things that pops into my head, because it is possible to get an oil pump gasket flipped upside down on an iron head. Okay, so it's doing it more often than it's not doing it, is what you're telling me, right? Let's see here. Lala, I'm kind of with you. I know the name Subscribestar, and that's it. I've never looked at it. I don't know squat all about it, so I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. But all right, yeah. Give me a phone call here in a day or two on that, Gma, and let me see what I can pull out of my tiny little pea brain. But anyways, steel third. I don't know what you're saying. I'm not good with hand. Well, certain hand signals I'm good with, but the ones that she's putting out right now, I'm like, oh. I have no idea. But anyway, gang, yeah. So hopefully, now that we're kind of over the holiday hump, if you will, and basically we got 30 more days of this stuff. So Christmas, stupid. Sale at Kmart. Wait a minute, Kmart doesn't exist anymore. Sale at Target, stupid. Sale at Christmas time at Target. Oh my God. Everybody watch out. So hang in there, y'all. It's it's that time of year. Don't get me wrong. I love spending time with my family. I love spending time with my friends and everything. I'm not the Scrooge bah humbug type. Christmas is awesome. I love Christmas. But I don't like dealing with all the bullshit. I don't like dealing with all the commercialization of it. I damn sure don't like dealing with all the traffic. Like my ride home tonight, that was close to an hour. And it's primarily just because of it's not wrecks or anything. It's just traffic moving slow because there's so many freaking people out there. Cyber Monday, y'all. Embrace the concept. You're supposed to do that shit at home on your computer. But Tara, if you're checking out, good night. Have fun. I will catch you next trip, okay? But hey, Sick Bay, I'm glad to have you here, man. You know, I mean, whether you jump in and you talk a blue streak or if you're just kind of lurking, hey man, whatever floats your boat, dude. Honestly, I'm just kind of winging this as I go because this is kind of one of those Monday night ramble things. I'm kind of all screwed up and out of sorts anyway because I've been out of the shop for 4 days, so my brain timing is off a little bit. But I agree with you, Lala. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but those types are getting to be a dying breed. And the sad fact is there's not a whole lot of people stepping up to fill those shoes because everybody wants that easy ride. Everybody wants that instant gratification. They want to be able to push a button and have a computer tell them, oh, this is wrong. Replace this. It don't work that way anymore. But yeah, Joey, you ain't lying there. Dealerships no longer have mechanics. They have chrome specialists and part swappers. That's all they got. That's all they got going for them. Ring, I see what you did there. But, and yes, on both counts, yes. Anyway, gang, me and the wife unit are still on this very strange, awkward, I may see you a little bit here and there when I can schedule with her work schedule and my work schedule and all that. I'm going to wrap this up and I'm going to let you guys have the rest of your evening because I have got to go put my dearly beloved to bed. And then I got to give her a hug and a big kiss on the forehead. And then I got to come out here in the garage and I got to actually, do something productive. So I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. I know this was kind of a last minute thing. And whenever we do a live stream, I try to give you guys as much notice as I can. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that today, but for those of you guys that showed up and that are here with us right now, thank you. I appreciate that. Now that we're kind of over the tryptophan hump, we got 23 more days till the yearly Die Hard movie marathon. And yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and I'm going to look into this. But if I can put it together to where we can have like a Die Hard watch party on Christmas Eve and do it on a live stream, maybe I'm just totally pulling this out of my ass, and I probably am. But if that's something that we can do, by God, I'll do it. And y'all are more welcome to come and hang out with us because, yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and it is not Christmas time until I see Hans Gruber fall off the roof of Nakatomi Plaza. There, I said what I said. Anyway, I love you guys. Y'all be safe, stay warm, stay dry. Oh, hey, just a quick heads up here. If you're out there riding and you're braving the cold, check your tires because they're getting flat quick. When it gets cold outside, they deflate like a swimsuit top at a 40s plus. Well, at a resort that we probably shouldn't even mention. But anyway, sorry, squirrel moment. I'm gonna get out of here. Let y'all go. I love you. I'll catch you next trip. Okay, Nighters.